Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. For today's episode, I will be showing you how to make a simple dress using a store-bought t-shirts. This project is going to be really easy if you are a beginner since you don't have to deal with the sleeves and the collar of the top. So we are going to simply add on to the bottom of the shirt to turn it into a dress. So the first thing I did here was lay the fabric as flat as I could, smooth it out as much as possible. And then I'm going to measure my daughter. I'm going to get her full front length. That is simply measuring from the shoulder down to the belly button. And I wanted this dress to be a little high-waisted, so I'm going to measure it a little higher, probably an inch higher than her belly button. So the measurement was 11 inches and I added 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to fold the t-shirt and I'm going to cut off the excess fabric. Now it's time to work on the bottom of the dress. So I laid my fabric here on the floor because this is a big fabric and I don't have room on my table. So I decided to lay it on the floor so you can easily see it, or you can easily see what I'm doing. I folded the fabric in half. So here where the tape measure is where the fold is. And now I am figuring out how long I want the skirt to be. So starting from the belly button down to the hemline. So the measurement is 19 inches and that is including the seam allowances on the waistline and also on the hemline. If you want the dress longer, you're just going to add more fabric, and if you want it shorter, you're just going to add less fabric. Because I cut this fabric on fold, if I use this as a skirt on the dress, it's going to be really full and I don't want that look because it might get heavy. So I decided to cut this in half and I will save the other panel for another DIY. So this panel that I'm going to be using is 19 inches long and 37 inches wide. Next, I am going to gather the panel. I am going to sew a basting stitch right on the top edge of the fabric and then I'm going to gather it. You can do it by hand, but in this project I'm just going to use my sewing machine. Basically, basting stitch is the longest stitch. Now I am going to lightly gather the fabric by pulling the bobbin thread. Be careful not to break the thread because if that happens, you will have to do it again. And here I am just making sure that the panel and the t-shirt width or waistline are matching. So I am using the t-shirt as my guide. So we are just about done here. And then I'm going to pin the back seam. Just for reference, if you are wondering what size of t-shirt I use, it is actually size 6 for 6 years old. Now I am going to sew the back seam using just a straight stitch because you don't really need to stretch it because it's just at the back. I also serged the raw edges, and that is completely optional because this type of fabric doesn't fray. Now it's time to attach the shirt and the bottom together. So I am simply going to put the shirt inside the skirt just like this, but before that I am going to mark the center back of the shirt. So when I match the back seam of the skirt and the center back of the shirt, it will be much easier. If you notice, right sides of the fabrics are facing each other. As I pin the fabrics together, I am also distributing the gathers evenly. And then I am going to sew it all the way around. Here, as I sew it all the way around, I am actually taking my time because I don't want the gathers to move. And if that happen, you just kind of gather it using your hand, or you can also use pin to help you push the gathers under the presser foot. And I am using a stretch stitch for this because this is around the waistline, so if you just use a regular straight stitch it will break. If you don't have a stretch stitch on your sewing machine, you can also use a narrow zigzag stitch that will prevent the threads from breaking. As you can see here, I'm also trying to stay with my 1/2 inch seam allowance just to be more accurate. After this, I am also going to serge the raw edge all the way around, but that is optional because the top is actually a rib knit, so it will basically stretch out and it kind of lost its waistline or shape. So my remedy for that is add an elastic onto this side right here. I will use this elastic. It is a quarter of an inch wide, and I will be using a wide zigzag stitch. On my machine, it is 3. I left about 1 inch tail at the back so I can easily pull the elastic at the back. And as I sew, I am going to stretch the elastic very lightly because I don't want it super tight, because this is for my little girl after all, and I don't want her to feel restricted or not comfortable. I made a similar dress a couple of years ago. I'm going to have the link up here. The only difference is I use a woven fabric for the bottom of the dress instead of a stretchy material. And if you decided to recreate any of my sewing projects, feel free to tag me on my Instagram. My Instagram account is Aldo Official. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess elastic. By adding elastic around the waistline, it actually gave the dress some stability. Now, if you want to, you can encase the elastic, but that is a totally different tutorial. I can show you that in a different video. Now, all I have to do is finish the hemline and the dress is done. I absolutely love how this dress turned out. It is super cute and very easy to make. I finished this dress in about 30 minutes, so you can easily make it if you want to make some for your daughter or your nieces or even for yourself. You can just use the same process using a regular t-shirt that you own. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you liked this simple tutorial. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it if you could. And while you're at it, subscribe to my channel. And yes, I'm going to ask you, don't forget to click that notification bell so whenever I post a new video, you will get notified right away. I will see you in my next video. Bye!